MyGhost-Writer presents Echoes of Eternity, Book 1. Echoes of Eternity, Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Reflections in Shadows. The town of Willowmares shrouded its tales in whispers, allowing history to settle in its cobblestone streets like a gentle perpetual fog. For 16-year-old Alara Connolly, this fog was not just a metaphor, but a vivid, tangible reality. Each reflective surface served as a portal, a gateway through which she could glimpse snippets of the past, resonating like melodies only she could hear. On an ordinary Tuesday, as the honeyed glow of sunset filtered through the dusty windows of the Willowmares library, Alara's life once again intermingled with the echoes of a bygone era. She had been volunteering at the library for most of the summer, finding solace among yellowed pages and the scent of old books, like forgotten stories resting in slumber. The library itself was a testament to time, built from stone that seemed to breathe with the weight of countless secrets. On this particular evening, as Alara dusted off the remnants of long untouched shelves, something called to her from the dim alcove in the corner. A peculiar mirror framed in ancient oak, its perimeter adorned with enigmatic runes that seemed to shimmer with an unearthly light. Curiosity, her constant companion, nudged her steps toward it, her reflection growing clearer with each advance, along with a sensation that stirred beneath her skin like a forgotten dream. As she placed her hand on the mirror's cold surface, the runes pulsated with a rhythm that synced with her heartbeat, drawing her gaze deeper. Suddenly, the library and its ambient whispers fell away, leaving her adrift in another time. The mirror shimmered, and in its depths, Alara saw a young woman, her eyes a stormy gray, full of unspoken words and a palpable sadness. Alara sensed her name. Lysandra. Lysandra's world unfolded like pages from a tattered diary. The air was thick with antiquity, and Alara felt every sharp intake of breath, every rustle of fabric, as if it were her own. She witnessed Lysandra navigating a world trapped in its own past, overseen by figures whose faces seemed faded and blurred like unfinished sketches. A solemn truth draped over them, a mystery enshrouded in absence. Alara felt an inexplicable kinship with this spectral figure, her heart pounding with a resolve that transcended reason. With a gasp, Alara pulled away, the library rushing back into view. She looked around, half expecting to see the shadows of Lysandra still lingering. Yet, she was alone in the dim light, accompanied only by the hum of distant echoes waiting for a voice to call them forth. As Alara lingered by the mirror, determination swelled within her. The girl in the reflections, Lysandra, was more than an apparition. She was a story untold, a mystery that called out through time, urging Alara to unravel the silk threads of history and bind them to the present. A promise echoed back to her through the mirror's silvery sheen. She would uncover Lysandra's fate. The mirror, once an object of idle curiosity, had now become her confidant, a bridge between the worlds of what was and what could become. Thus began Alara's journey, a solitary path lined with question marks and silent vows under the watchful eyes of Willowmare's whispered history, waiting for the resolve of one girl to ignite the flickering candles of truth. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The Journalist's Quest. The crisp morning air enveloped Willowmares in a blanket of early autumn coolness as Alara Connolly made her way to school, her mind still humming with the vivid remnants of yesterday's encounter with the ancient mirror. She was only half aware of her surroundings, a mental fog made dense by the echoes of the past clinging to her every thought. At Willowmares High, a flurry of students cascaded down the hallways like leaves caught in a brisk wind, each lost in their daily rituals. Among them, however, was Lucas Thornton, his presence as notable as a splash of color against a monochrome canvas. Lucas, with his ever-present notebook and inquisitive gaze, prided himself on uncovering the stories hidden in plain sight. Today, his focus landed squarely on Alara. "Alara!" Lucas called, his voice slicing through the crowded hallway, a beacon of uncontainable energy. He caught up to her with his customary grin, eyes alight with interest. "I heard some of your friends talking. Something about you seeing into the past. You have to let me in on this story." Alara hesitated, her instinct to remain guarded battling against the strange sense of destiny that had taken root within her since her vision of Lysandra. "I'm not sure you'd believe me," she replied, pressing a textbook tighter to her chest like a shield. The truth was, she hadn't yet made sense of it herself. Undeterred, Lucas's curiosity only deepened. Try me. Could be the scoop of the century. His enthusiasm was infectious, and there was a disarming honesty in his assurance. Suddenly, Alara felt the isolation of her secret begin to shift, the weight of her silence yearning for release. After school, then, meet me at the library, she conceded, her voice a whisper over the din of lockers slamming shut. The afternoon sun draped the Willowmares library in a warm glow by the time Lucas arrived, its stone walls standing steadfast against the passage of time. As they made their way past time-worn bookshelves, Alara recounted her encounter with the mirror, eyes flickering with both caution and resolve. Lucas took notes meticulously, his pen dancing across the pages with the diligence of someone crafting an intricate tapestry of words. As Alara spoke, he found himself swept into the narrative, his usual skepticism giving way to an unexpected sense of possibility. Her description of Lysandra, of the woman's unending sadness seared into her stormy eyes, tugged at something deep within him. They continued deeper into the library's labyrinth of knowledge, where a forgotten corner yielded an unexpected discovery. A journal entry, its pages fragile with age, yet preserved against the ravages of time. Lucas gingerly lifted it from its resting place, eyes scanning the aged script with curiosity. It's like finding a needle in a historical haystack, he murmured, his eyes widening with each line. The entry was part of a collection chronicling Willowmare's old tales, mentioning a woman suspiciously matching Lysandra's description, a woman who vanished without a trace. With each word, a new puzzle piece clicked into place. Lucas and Alara shared a glance, an understanding passing silently between them. This was more than just an investigative endeavor. It was a quest to restore the ghostly chapters of a life that once was. Their shared determination transformed Lucas's journalistic hunger from seeking the spectacular into a spirited journey alongside Alara. What began as a potential headline was now an intertwining of destinies, with Lucas and Alara standing on the precipice of unraveling antiquity's spell. As they left the library's hallowed aisles that day, an unspoken alliance formed, built on curiosity thicker than the gravest mystery and bound by the shimmer of truth waiting in shadowed corners. Though the journey promised bumps and turns, they stood ready, knowing their quest for answers, for completion of the tale, was perennially bound to the alluring silence of the past. Chapter 3. Tech and Timelines. As golden rays of autumn sun peeked through the brisk morning clouds, Willowmares High buzzed with a usual mix of teenage dramas and academic stress. Yet for Alara and Lucas, the world outside had grown muted compared to the symphonic whispers of the past tugging at the edges of their consciousness. Their newly forged alliance pulsed with the promise of hidden truths, yet they both knew they needed a new kind of instrument to continue their melodic journey through time. Enter Mei Lin. To most, she seemed an enigma, a whirlwind of logic wrapped in a cocoon of precision. Her reputation as the school's resident tech genius preceded her. She could break down any device to its most elemental parts, upgrade it to near outlandish functionality, and put it back together again with her eyes closed. It was said she could communicate better in code than in spoken language, but to her friends, her actions spoke louder than words. It was Lucas who brought them together, the librarian's tables sprawling beneath them, a sea of reference books creating a boundary against eavesdropping. "This is May," Lucas introduced eagerly, his voice conspiratorial. "She's the best there is when it comes to tech. I mentioned our situation, and she was curious." May's sharp eyes appraised Alara, a question dancing in their amber depths. "If you say you see the past, then there's a way to capture it," she said, her voice measured like binary cascading through the air. "We just need to translate it into something else, something we can all see." Her words drummed a cautious hope into Alara's chest, a cadence that matched the rhythm of possibility. Hope, however, required belief, and Alara found herself wavering on the precipice of doubt. "How can you turn visions into something real?" Alara's voice was soft, her apprehension barely contained beneath a veneer of skepticism. "By making them tangible," May replied simply, the gleam of certainty in her eyes as bright as the logic circuits firing in her mind. She pulled a small, sleek device from her backpack, twin circuits tracing patterns like silver arteries connecting the machinery of tomorrow with the mysteries of the past. "This," explained May, placing it carefully on the table, "is a recorder I modified. It detects fluctuations in electromagnetic fields and converts them into visual data, with a few more adjustments." Here, a tinkerer's grin split her face, lighting her features with uncharacteristic warmth. "It can record reflections of the past." Lucas's eyes sparkled with a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "And you can do this? Just like that?" May shrugged, all business. "If the echoes of the past are real, then technically we can capture them." She turned her attention back to Alara, her imperative both kind and urgent. "But I need you, Alara. Walk us through what you experience and I'll follow the signals. Between your ability and my tech, we'll bridge the gaps." The library, unchanging in its vastness, stood as a silent witness to the pact forming, a bridge constructed not only of circuits or mirrors, but of personalities interwoven in a dance of potential. Under the discerning gaze of the ancient mirror, the proposal filled Alara with a conflicted cocktail of fear and thrill. The unknown loomed large, yet the prism of possibility seemed clearer than ever. That afternoon, whispers of history awaited them, glimmering enticingly within the enchanting depths of the mirror. As they gathered around it, Alara poised on the edge of the past, Lucas a quiver of anticipation, and May orchestrating their engagement with technology, the library seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with expectations. When Alara touched the mirror, the familiar pulse coursed through her fingertips. A sense of timelessness enveloped her, and she narrated her steps into the vision. Her voice wove the sight of Lysandra, her sorrow captured like a watercolor painting trapped behind glass, the tender urgency of her quest for meaning, the choked beauty of something history had chosen to forget. May's device sputtered to life, screens flickering with ghostly shadows, their forms dancing in time to Alara's words. Tremors of light danced across its surface, sketching outlines, framing blurred images of a past unwinding like spilled ink recounting its stories upon the present. As the device whirred and hummed with newborn data, an unspoken reverence shimmered between the trio, aligning their hearts with a shared mission. Alara no longer bore the burden alone. Instead, she had allies, armed with technology and stories, standing steadfast against the eternal march of time. The library, once a silent sentinel, became a cauldron of echoed whispers waiting eagerly for discovery. Thus 3 destinies converged, each thread unraveling with newfound purpose, each character, like aspects of the same melody, contributing their notes to an unfinished symphony. Their task was clear, and with the past whispering sweet secrets into their ears, they began to dance across the fine lines of centuries, eager to unravel each knot and tie it anew with their discoveries. In the chilled exhale of time, they found warmth in purpose, a sense of belonging in the quest for understanding, and ultimately, a future enlightened by the echoes of eternity. Chapter 4. The emotional archive. Willowmares remained cloaked in the serenity of early autumn, where leaves transformed into vibrant hues of red and gold, mirroring the internal transformations of its inhabitants. The trio, now bound by their shared quest, forged deeper connections as their investigation advanced, yet the journey also demanded they confront the facets of their own personal labyrinths. Alara's dilemma. Inside the sanctum of the Willowmares library, Alara delicately navigated stacks of weather-beaten books, her palm brushing worn spines, as though the very act would breathe life into long-slumbering tomes. Her abilities had turned each day into a dynamic interplay between present and past. Yet the visions were growing more intense, their emotional pull increasingly urgent. That afternoon, the mirror offered a particularly vivid scene of Lysandra, a memory that clenched Alara's heart and left her breathless. She caught a glimpse of Lysandra arguing with a shadowy figure, a tangible argument punctuated by hurt and betrayal. Unable to pull away, Alara felt the surge of emotions wash over her like an overwhelming tide. She stumbled back from the mirror. Her breath caught in her throat, panic lacing the edges of her realization. Her gift was becoming a burden, its weight palpable, threatening to consume her entire sense of self. The boundaries between the echoes and her life blurred, her heart aching with sorrow she couldn't claim as her own. When Lucas found her, eyes glistening with unshed tears, he recognized the quiet despair within her and stayed silent at first, allowing her the space to share her turmoil. "Isn't it too much?" Alara whispered, her fear seeping into the spaces between words. Lysandra's pain, it's like it's becoming mine. I don't know how to keep it from overwhelming me. Lucas nodded, offering a supportive gaze. Sometimes the stories we uncover connect with our lives in ways we can't ignore, he said thoughtfully, reflecting on his own experiences. But you're not alone. We'll figure it out together. Lucas's struggle. As Alara grappled with her burgeoning gift's emotional toll, Lucas confronted an intensity of a different nature. A chorus of expectations ringing insistently in his ears, echoes from a history shaped by family tradition. His family had deep roots in Willowmares, a lineage stretching through generations, each member fulfilling a role preordained by time and tradition. Those expectations loomed over him like a shadow, scrutinizing his every choice, contrasting starkly with his aspirations to pursue journalism, a field regarded by his kin with as much skepticism as his wild theories. To them, it was an indulgence, a detour from a respectably trodden path. His heart clenched with the weight of their opinions, the storm of familial duty clashing against his desire for independence. This inner conflict, however, pushed him further into embracing their quest. Within the silence of past echoes, Lucas found a burgeoning resolve, a fervor to write stories that would bridge ever-widening chasms. May's mediation. May sensed the tension distilling between Alara's glistening emotions and Lucas's silent storms. As the trio convened once more beneath the watchful gaze of the library's grand architecture, she took a seat on the table, her presence a reassuring constant, offering a stabilizing force amid swirling confusion. Her demeanor was one of quiet confidence, intermingled with deep-rooted empathy. "We're all standing at the crossroads of what was and what could be," May said gently, her words weaving a delicate thread of inclusion around them. "But remember, a star shines brightest when it's surrounded by night. Together we untangle the mysteries that frighten us." Her voice was soothing, a balm to Alara's turbulent soul and Lucas's silent turmoil. May's pragmatic approach offered respite, echoing patience and understanding. As she tinkered with her device, she encouraged them to navigate their emotional landscapes, providing reassurances with every adjustment she made on the machinery wrought from innovation and tradition. Under her calm tutelage, Alara learned to anchor herself amidst the maelstrom of emotions, finding strength in her friendships. May's words inspired Lucas as well, helping him to reconcile his passion with familial obligations, urging him to find a narrative within the rift, one that was uniquely his own. In the library's hushed embrace, the trio finally struck a harmonious balance amidst the cacophony of their individual quests. Each, armed with a different facet of their experiences, discovered the tenacity to confront personal challenges, no longer as solitary warriors but as integral parts of a united front. And so, as day turned to dusk, Willowmares shimmered anew, under the kaleidoscope of fading light. This game of echoes and eternity molded their identities, shaping them into custodians of history and courage, prepared to walk forward in time. Eternal voices whispering, DNA latent with lessons from the depths of the past and hopes of the future. Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Mirrors and Masks. The autumn air in Willowmares sharpened, hinting at the approaching whisper of winter. The town was a tapestry of changing colors, its beauty woven from the threads of time. Within this echo-rich landscape, the trio's quest continued, each discovery tighter weaving the historical cloth that wrapped their lives. Unraveling the tapestry. In the trust-saturated silence of the library, May's fingers danced over her modified device with focused intention. With Alara's guidance, they had managed to capture clearer echoes of Lysandra's world, the images and sounds bridging the chasm between then and now. The visions grew increasingly vivid, painting scenes with broader strokes. Lysandra's laughter like a reluctant spring thaw amid the chilly fallow. Her tear-laced arguments with shadowed figures, more vibrant and stark against the muted sepia tones of history. These images, once blurred and faded, now came alive under the trio's dedicated scrutiny. Each replay acted as a key unlocking the archives of time. May, her brilliance flaring like a lighthouse, decoded the faintest whispers from the mirror's depths, each digital obsidian constructed from the iron of history itself. The crucial discovery, Lucas, pen poised like a rapier above his journal, sifted through the records that layered Willowmares like pages in an epic tome. Morning light streamed through the stained glass windows, kaleidoscoping onto the ledger where history's ink had inscribed its secrets. Guided by Alara's empathic insights and Mai's technological prowess, Lucas unearthed an old newspaper clipping, yellowed edges speaking of its endurance against the swallowing void of time. His eyes widened as he scanned the article, his enthusiasm mounting. The faded headline bore witness to a tragedy, a sudden disappearance that had gripped Willowmares years ago. The article named Lysandra directly, linking her abrupt vanishing to a series of events shrouded in shadows, the specter of her existence lingering like morning mist refusing to dissipate. "This is it," Lucas breathed, tracing the story's trajectory with the wisdom of stars long calcified into constellations. The realization cemented itself within the foundations of their findings. A perplexing quagmire now had the potential to become lucid under their collective observations. Conflict and revelation. As the layers peeled away, each retrieval from past echoes stirred new questions. Each discovery hovered on the precipice of transforming belief. Alara found herself grappling with an unraveling equilibrium, her mind quilted with fragments of memory and feeling that tumbled through time's endless corridors. At night, her dreams shifted, woven with spectral threads of Lysandra's story, pulling Alara into an emotional melee wherein joy and sorrow spun intertwined arcs. Her waking world reflected the struggles of her heart, but bolstered by May and Lucas's steadfast companionship, she found the courage to reframe her fear as understanding, the understanding that history was but a mirrored mask upon life's uncharted face. Meanwhile, Lucas wrestled with the dual roles he embraced, the curious journalist threading extraordinary tales, and the young man seeking to dance in the spotlight of his own destiny. Yet within the echoes of Lysandra's tale, Lucas perceived his own path more clearly. Her story emboldened him, empowered him to weave personal desires with the familial expectations woven through his life. Blurred lines, May's belief bolstered her ally's resolve, a gossamer filament reaching between them, bonding them, a reflection of her intricate union of technology and humanity. She had transformed more than just machines. She fostered understanding, crafting spaces where individual threads, worn and tangled by time, could be knit together anew. Her mask, once a shield against the world's assumptions, now shifted, revealing resilience fused with benevolence. Together, the trio encountered a revelatory realization. History mirrored the intricacies of human experience, its masks profound yet permeable. Their discoveries whispered that identity itself was woven against the loom of time, and with each fracture within the painted visage, clearer truths emerged, etched bravely upon the heart of their journey. The library's recesses hummed with anticipation, knowledge swelling like leaves against a strong autumn storm. That intimate sanctuary of books, now illuminated by the trio's understanding, amplified the echoes of the past, turning whispered secrets into resonant truths. Embracing the echoes, standing resolute before the storied mirror, its runes now familiar as old friends, the trio collectively acknowledged their quest's weight, allowing the reflection to unite their disparate parts into a harmonious melody that transcended time. They grasped the realization that human lives, like their pursuit of Lysandra's forgotten tale, are one singular culmination of echoes reverberating through eternity. Masks cracked, mirrors reflected, and perspectives shifted, revealing the portrait of a time-worn harmony enriched by the echoes of the past and the stunning, enduring reality of the present. With hearts alight with acceptance and purpose, Alara, Lucas, and May stepped confidently through the specular veil, seeking not only to uncover the story trapped within history, but also to affirm the enduring essence of their own narratives reflected across the annals of time. In echo-informed grace, they pledged to unravel the shadow's mysteries, exposing history to the warming light of understanding and hope. Chapter 6. Echoes of Tomorrow. The sun broke over Willowmares with a golden promise, painting the sky in shades of dawn that heralded a new day. The chill of autumn threaded through the streets, but inside the Willowmares library, the trio had thrived on the warmth of certainty. Each echo, carefully unearthed, seeped into their beings, harmonizing the tempo of their mission. Confronting the reflection. Standing before the mirror, an ancient gateway and a witness sworn to the sanctity of countless secrets, Alara, Lucas, and May prepared for the culmination of their quest. Each had evolved, their growth spun by the narrative thread into the fabric of their collective consciousness. Ilara, now grounded by the chronicles of reflection, no longer felt tethered solely to a past she could not control. Her journey through Lysandra's eyes, through love lost and laughter echoing in silent recesses, had opened her heart to the power of history and honed her awareness of its impact. She was the bridge, a purveyor of time's finest murmurings, transformed from vessel to author of her own unfolding story. Lucas, ever the meticulous chronicler, had discovered more than ancient whispers within the manuscripts he had meticulously gathered and dissected. The echoes resonated with his own heartstrings, knitting his yearning for independence with a richer understanding of his familial legacy. The chronicles, spun from Lysandra's narrative, offered him the affirmation to pen his destiny anew, a resonance with the heartbeat of his authentic ambition. May, armed with the future's brilliance yet steeped in the truth of yore, reinforced the symphony with eloquence born of synthesis. Her tools had not only captured phenomena beyond the ken of analytical verity, but had also recorded the time-stamped glow of friendships forged in fire. The bridge she built, intertwining strands of technology and humanity, invited the past to branch into the blooming canopy of their future. The final echo united, they approached the mirror one last time. A charge hummed through the air, aligning them in a shared rhythm, heartbeats thrumming like a drum score, underscoring their final endeavor. Ilara steeled herself, reaching out to the runic threshold with a reverence that brimmed over into hope. "It's time," she murmured to the silence, yet not only for the truths they sought, but for the ripples of possibility they now recognized in every choice. The mirror responded, unspooling Lysandra's finale, her journey coming into focus. They saw her, vibrant and alive, walking through Willowmares with a boldness ignited by dreams. Betrayal had doused the flame of her vibrant gaze once, yet here stood the woman undefeated by history's weight. Lysandra, her own choices reflected in brighter tones, offered a poignant farewell to the timeline, leaving space for new tales yet to be told. Rewriting the story. The realization washed over them with the clarity of morning light. Every narrative an echo, every choice a reflection. These were not just strands of destiny's tapestry, but an invitation to be makers and keepers of their own echoes. In this revelation, Ilara saw her path illuminated, no longer merely hearing echoes, but actively inscribing them, leaving her mark for what would come next. Lucas, with renewed conviction, prepared to forge his chronicles, weaving family heritage with his narrative autonomy into a story that embraced both. May, the keeper of interfaces, knew the balance between past and future was a continuous dance of cycles, perpetually echoing in the melody they'd composed together. Their roles as custodians extended beyond Lysandra's tale, ensuring its lessons resonated within the tomes of Willowmares and beyond. With keen eyes and fuller hearts, they pledged not only to remember the past, but to enact it in ways vibrant and transformative, embracing the present and future. As they stepped back from the mirror, shadows lifted, the dance of history and future unfurling in the library's sacred embrace, wild and free. Echoes of the past no longer murmured in solitude. They sang, a chorus of guidance marking the path ahead. Willowmares, with its cobblestone streets bathed in the alchemical chemistry of time, welcomed their evolution. The trio, intertwining the strands of narrative and experience, carried Lysandra's story, her whispered truths now eternal, in their intertwined destinies. They understood the essence of time, a living entity forever reflected in the mirrors of human hearts, ready to be reshaped by those who dared to embrace it. Together, they left the library, hearts beating as one with time's eternal metronome, ready to author new echoes, shepherding Willowmares and themselves towards futures ignited by the fervent glow of understanding. In this tapestry of reflection, authored by hearts steeped in history, yet burning with an endless tomorrow, the echoes of eternity resounded, a sweet, lasting thrum into the infinite beyond. Thank you for listening to My Ghostwriter.